Hey there, Libra. Welcome to your reading for the week of December 5th. We're just going to jump right in here, Libra, and we are going to take a look at your current general energies for the week in this first row. You have this Cancer card, and it says immerse. So kind of like this is a week of you diving into things that you are more interested in. It's also interesting that you have this purification card next because, if you were to, that is like immersing yourself in water is obviously a form of purification. So, it could be like an energy clearing week for you, although I feel like there's a little bit more excitement than just that. Obviously, you have the King of Wands, Ten of Pentacles here. So I definitely like where this is going. I actually didn't want to grab that, but we'll take it because why not? It's look at this. This is actually pretty funny as well. This card right here says wrong way on it, and this child card is upside down, which I think is interesting because, I don't even read reversals, period, but I definitely wouldn't, even if I did, I would not read reversals in Oracle cards, so that's pretty weird, but you have this Immerse card right here. It says Cancer on it. Let's see what the next card is. You have this card, it says retrograde on it, and it says review. I don't know. like I've said a million times, we have a bunch of retrogrades going on, obviously. And then at the end of December, we have Mercury going retrograde again. So we really can't escape the retrogrades until about like March. So, we have to kind of deal with the energy. And, I say March because that's pretty much when the Mars retrograde shadow is over. And so Mars won't be retrograde until March. It actually stops in January. But, again, we're going to be in the shadow until that period of time. So, I think it's a great time to revisit things, review things. This card says review on it. And I would be looking at things from the past, not as in relationships, but you have the Wheel of Fortune here and the Ten of Pentacles and the Justice card, Libra, which is you. And it's almost as if you could be revisiting something that will make you like more successful. I feel like there's a lot of learning that needs to go on. The other thing that I find very, very interesting about your reading here, Libra, is that it's completely different than everyone else's. Like everyone else's had a very similar, I don't know, like collective vibe, right? Like there's like the same thing going on. Yours is very different. So there could be a lot of differences. You have the Wheel of Fortune, the Four of Cups, and the Two of Cups here. Again, I feel that this could also be kind of talking to yourself. I always say that the Two of Cups is a card of you and your higher self. It can definitely represent love, and we'll talk about that, but the Two of Cups also, like I said, represents you and your higher self and kind of like how you communicate with your higher self or not, right? And so I do feel like there's a need for meditation, immersion, like that immersion card says. I do feel like there could be love coming in here, but it kind of looks like some of you are healing from a heartbreak at this moment. So you might just, it's kind of like one of those things where I do feel if someone is coming in right now, it might be the wrong time. Although, again, we'll see what happens when we get to the future here. You have the Four Cups kind of coming off of a period of disappointments and needing to see, like, I feel this need to see, like, why you had to experience some disappointments. I don't normally recommend, like, living in the past, right? But I do think that if we're looking at the past and we're saying, like, okay, I had to go through this because of this reason and this is what I learned, then you're not really living in the past. You're kind of looking at what you learned and then you're moving forward. So, I think that's perfectly acceptable for you to be doing that at this time. I also feel there's like a big opportunity. It's kind of weird that I'm getting opportunity on the Four Cups, but it's like where you are isn't that great. But I feel where you could be going is much, much better. And we literally see that here with the Wheel of Fortune. I do get major turnaround vibes here. One thing that I will say is a lot of people have been getting kind of these turnaround vibes. It doesn't really strike me as a turnaround that we're just going to get. I think these are turnarounds that the universe is trying to get us to create. So, sometimes a turnaround can happen by us doing something that kind of creates a tower moment. On the bottom of your clarification deck there, you have the tower. But what I would say is, like, sometimes maybe we have to, like, leave a relationship that we don't really want to leave, but maybe we also know that it isn't right. And that's, like, what I mean by a turnaround that kind of, like, you don't necessarily want, but you also know it's the right thing to do. I kind of get that vibe here from the Wheel of Fortune. It could be anything. I mean, it could be you realizing that, you've spent too much time on a project that just isn't going anywhere. And I'm not saying that you're like quitting. I think that you're just looking for a turnaround. Like, how can I turn this situation around for my benefit? How can I, get more out of this? I kind of do feel that you're being very honest with yourself as well in a good way. It's like sometimes I think we work on like a project for too long and it just isn't working. And we either need to find another way or we need to start something different, right? But for you, I can tell you right now with the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Eight of Pentacles, which this really tells me that you're finding another way to get things to work. So I would actually say don't give up on something that you're working on, especially in work or business. As far as love is concerned, that's a whole other story. But in work or business, if you're working on a project and the way you're doing it just isn't working, you have the Eight of Pentacles, which is a card of education. You have the Page of Swords as well, which is a card of education. So maybe you just need to learn how to make it work. I do see a major kind of like a turnaround in your finances. And again, at this time, like I said to everyone, if you're improving your finances, I would like squirrel a little bit of that money away. I would make sure that you're not just like blowing it on things that you don't need. So sometimes our money goes up and we spend it all. And I feel like this is saying, don't do that. With the Four of Cups, you have the Magician. See, I think for some of you, I do get like this little bit of like stinking thinking over here, Libra. But what I feel like you need to realize is that, as I've been saying to people, big problems attract big solutions. So you might be in a little bit of a pickle or having a little bit of a struggle in the recent past in any area of your life. And I feel the Magician is saying you're actually attracting a big solution, which we see in your third row. We're gonna look at that. You have the Ten of Pentacles and some other good cards, and we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But I feel like you've attracted a big solution to some issues that you've been experiencing. That's really where this reading is leading me, or leading you, I should say. With the Two of Cups, you have the Wheel of Fortune. So love it. Definitely a significant change in your fortunes. Next, in the area of what you don't see coming, you have this Purification card. I really love this card. It's really nice. I feel like toxic situations are being removed from your life. And these are sunflowers, and sunflowers in the tarot represent the sun. So I feel there's a lot of happiness, and it's like the things that are being removed from your life are maybe like the bugs that would eat these sunflowers on this card, right? Let's see. I want to see what the next card is. Yeah, you have this Enlightenment card as well. It's kind of interesting that I also get Enlightenment energy on the Four of Cups. Like I feel expansive. I also feel like on that Four of Cups, like where she is sitting is not where she wants to be. And I feel like there's something like better over here, which is like a new place. Sometimes people say that the Four of Cups represents the grass not being greener on the other side, right? But I actually feel like there's much, much greener grass for you, especially if you've been enlightened to a toxic situation or toxic things in your life that you're removing. You have the Seven of Cups, the Five of Swords, and the Page of Swords. For some of you, obviously, like I already said, this could be a breakup. The Seven of Cups is a card of, being spoiled for choice. But you can see here on this Seven of Cups that she's pointing to one star on this card. And I always say that on the Seven of Cups, there's kind of like these Seven Cups. Some of the things in the cups are good. Some of the things in the cups are bad. But, the person kind of needs to pick the one cup that they actually want and make it happen because it's too much up here, It's like that's the thing with the Seven of Cups, is that he needs to make a choice. He needs to say, I want this, whatever it is that you want, a goal, wish, dream, a person, whatever. And you need to like bring it down to earth. And what I would say here is that this reading is kind of saying to me that if you're thinking that you should be jumping through hoops, if that's your first thought, then I feel like that's wrong. I actually feel like you want to go this way. Even though it's going towards the Three of Swords, I have a feeling that when we clarify that Three of Swords, we're going to get a better card than the Three of Swords. And I feel that this is saying that you shouldn't be sometimes I think we think like, oh, I want to make all this money. So our first thought is that we should work harder, or that we should do something that is hard to make money. Because, I don't know, we're like taught that it's hard to make money, even though probably it's not, right? And maybe we need to come up with easier ways to do it. And, so that might be your first thought. But I feel like your first thought should be like, how can I learn to do this in an efficient way or whatever? Same thing in love as well. I definitely could be dealing with a separation here, although I feel like you're going to be getting some like karmic justice, because if we go like this, we go to the Ten of Pentacles, to the Justice card. So if you've been through something difficult, I really get the sense going here that the universe wants to reward you because, you did the right thing in whatever the situation is. Even if we look at this Five of Swords, this is the tarot of the mystical moments, by the way. You can see that she's holding a white rose, and this person over here has like no heart. Over here, I actually love this Five of Swords because, to me it says like this person here, probably you, Libra, and it doesn't matter what gender you are. just this person right here, I feel you had pure intentions, and it's like someone in your situation was heartless. So I feel like some of you have really been through it in a relationship. For others, I do feel that some of you, if this is not love related, this is talking about work, and I feel like your heart just wasn't in something, and now you're looking for something that is much more fulfilling. And we saw that with the Two of Cups as well. I literally feel this reading is saying doing something that's fulfilling to you is going to lead to a turnaround. You have the Page of Swords, and I get major detective vibes here. I mean, to me, the way I read Tarot Page of Swords is like the detective to me. He really looks into anything that he's interested in. I feel in this reading that this is your energy showing up here. So I feel like looking into things, being curious, all those things I feel would be very good for you. I feel like curiosity could just be very beneficial for you for some reason. And especially if you're like interested in something that you feel could be fulfilling to you, like a new business, a new job, or something like that. With the Seven of Cups, you have the Seven of Pentacles. I'm laughing because 2 sevens to me is internal fears that don't exist. So I feel like you need to let your fears go, especially about an opportunity. I kind of knew where this was going because of that Knight of Wands as well. Seven of Cups, sometimes I think we say, like, oh, I want a business, but it's like the other cups, like the business might be one cup, but the other cups around it are maybe like certain things that you think you have to do to have a business. Like maybe you think you need a certain amount of money. Maybe you feel like you need a certain amount of support. But really, these two cards say you don't need any of that. You just need to get started. And I know that's like that's like a mind effort, right? But sometimes I think in all areas of our life, we add on these, certain rules that we make up in our own brain that we think we have to follow to get something that we want, whether it's like business, love, or otherwise. And I feel like this is saying, like, no, you can just go straight for it. You don't have to like jump through hoops. With the Five of Swords, you have the Hierophant. I feel like you learned a lot. You have been learning a lot. There's so many education cards here. It's crazy. So I feel like you've learned a lot through the challenges and difficulties that you've been through. There's a lightning bolt behind this crow. This is the tarot of the Wild Unknown Tarot, I should say. And you can see that lightning bolt behind this crow or raven with the key. So I feel like some of you, it's like a shock has definitely taught you something, or maybe you went through some sort of like shocking situation. With the Page of Swords, you have the the King of Pentacles. Everybody's been getting the King of Pentacles. Kind of makes sense to me because of Uranus and Taurus. I think, there's a lot that could make us feel unstable. Mars retrograde in Gemini. That's one. We also have Pluto switching signs next year. I don't know that that will necessarily make us all feel unstable, but it is a little jarring, I think, of an energy. There's a lot going on that I think is very jarring, right? So whenever we're experiencing a lack of stability, what do we look for? We look for the opposite, stability. So, I feel like pretty much everyone is looking for stable relationships, businesses, jobs. Even if you're retired, you could be looking for more stability. Maybe you're looking for like investments that could, support you or something along those lines. And, I don't know. I see a lot of people doing this stuff in the future, just looking for stability. So, like I said, it kind of just looks like a sign of the times to me. Next, in the area of what's coming towards you, you have this Loyal Heart card. I do feel that there could be love that is going to clearly be very loyal to you coming in for you. You have Fire and Earth definitely stand out to me in your reading. Could also be a fixed sign as well, Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, or Leo. But, again, it could be any sign. This is a general reading, but definitely Fire and Earth stands out to me quite a bit. And I feel it would be a very loyal person, obviously. I also feel for some of you, if you're looking for work or business, that you're looking for something that really means something. There's something here about meaning, but it's just the word meaning is popping into my head. So I feel like you don't want just like any old like business or whatever. I feel like there's something here about, your like what the title, or it's almost like the title that you get from whatever this is. I know I'm speaking very vaguely, but that's how it's like popping into my head. It's almost as if, you believe that you want something that kind of gives you a certain label, but, that kind of identifies you. And I feel like identification is super important for you this week for some reason, popping into my head. But I feel like you want to be identified as something positive, which, I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. You have the Knight of Wands, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Knight of Pentacles. See, I feel like you're much more ready than you think. Again, I do get this energy of thinking that you have to jump through hoops, like thinking that there's a lot of stuff to do. I would be careful of like all the excess thinking. Like sometimes I think people are like, oh, I want to start this business. I need a website right away. It's like, but unless you're building a business that is a website, it's like, do you really need the website right now or can you just get started, right? And so I would be careful of like thinking about like doing all this extra stuff, especially for those of you that are starting a business. Same thing in relationships as well. I would be careful of the rules in relationships. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have certain boundaries or whatever, but sometimes I think, we might meet a person and they don't check off like every single little box on the first date. And, what I would say here is, I would encourage you just to, if you kind of like a person and you're not sure, give them a second chance, right? I don't know, it's popping into my head. So if you're looking for love, might be, if someone is kind of close, but maybe a little bit farther away, maybe they're like, maybe you think they're missing something, maybe they're really not, right? So, I think that you should maybe give someone I'm not telling you what to do here, as always, Libra. People always get mad at me. How dare you say I go on a second date, right? But, I don't know. If I were you, I would give someone a second chance here. It's popping into my head. You have the Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is a card of abundance and success. Everybody has had the Ten of Pentacles this week. I think almost everyone. And again, I feel with Uranus and Taurus, this is going to be a major theme until 2025. Everybody wants the Ten of Pentacles. It doesn't even have to be a lot of money. I mean, Ten of Pentacles can just be security. It can just be kind of building and leaving a legacy, which that is what a lot of you could be doing. I think you're focusing on long-term success. I also tell everyone, like, I would be very careful of like get rich quick schemes, things like that, because just a bad time for that. I feel I think it's always, even just looking forward into the future, for the rest of your life. Like I wouldn't be thinking, oh, I'm going to start an online business that's going to make me, if someone's out there like telling you, oh, this is going to make you $1 billion overnight, probably not true, right? So and especially, next year, in like 2025, we have Neptune moving into Aries, which is kind of like the rise of the guru, right? Guru in quotation marks. So I always tell people, like, be very careful of falling for anything. That's why I always tell people think I'm joking, but I'm always like, don't listen to me, right? It's like, I think we should be absorbing information, putting things into practice that make sense to us, and finding out things out for ourselves, right? I don't think we basically shouldn't be listening to anyone for the rest of our lives. We should be listening to ourselves, and which I think is super important. So I think absorbing information is good as long as we're kind of making sure that it makes sense for us, whatever the information is. Popping into my head with the Ten of Pentacles, there's a little known meaning of the Ten of Pentacles that it can kind of represent hidden or secret knowledge. But again, sometimes we don't get that knowledge until we put something into practice, until we try everything, right? You have the Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles just needs to get moving. So I feel for those of you that are thinking about starting something, I would just get moving here. I feel there's a lot of success coming in for you. I do feel like some of you, either it's you or a person that's coming in for you, is being a little cautious in love. There's like weird love energy at the end of the year here. It's like, I think there's a lot of love energy actually, which is interesting. But I also feel there's just like some of us could be attracting people that are hurt. You cannot make this stuff up, by the way. With the Knight of Wands, you have the Knight of Swords. Do not rush into something. This is literally my card that says no get-rich-quick schemes. It popped into my head on the Knight of Wands and the Ten of Pentacles. So I would be careful of, like thinking something is, especially if something is probably too good to be true. I would just be careful of it. It's like, here's the other problem as well. It's like, any of these people that are pushing, I'm not against courses, by the way, like, and stuff like that. But what I am against is like these courses that, again, make it seem like you're going to be a millionaire overnight, or like very easily with some secret Amazon store or something like that. It's like, what I would say here is that it's like Uranus and Taurus doesn't want that. Uranus and Taurus wants us to build something like legitimate, or wants us to build something that we actually want to do. And I think partially that's kind of the problem with Get Rich Quick, is like, a lot of these courses and stuff out there, it's like, do you really want to be doing what they're teaching? Is it something that calls to your soul, And the answer is probably not. With the Ten of Pentacles, you have the Ten of Swords. This could definitely be some sort of ending. Like I said, we've been talking about this, how, I feel for some of you, it's like the heart-based thing with the Five of Swords as well. We were talking about this. I really see some of you kind of like ending a job or a career as well, if you want to. And you could be doing something that you actually want to be doing, something that is more heart-based, which I think is, again, that is the path to success right now, is doing heart-based things that you actually want to do. For others, I do feel like some of you could be worried because if you got out of a relationship, maybe you thought you were going to marry this person. I feel there's something so much better coming in for you in this last row, With the Knight of Pentacles, you have the Seven of Swords. Yeah, see, for some of you, I'm wondering if someone made a bunch of promises as well in the past, and that could be why you're a little bit standoffish. Maybe this person lied, cheated, and stole like the Seven of Swords, but more the energy that I get here is that this is a person who just didn't make any moves in the first place. They promised certain things, but they didn't make any moves as far as like love is concerned or whatever. Next, we're going to look at any messages from your future self. You have this child card, so it could be the birth of a child for some of you, although it could just be the birth of something new. You have this shift card. It says, here you go, taking your career in a totally different direction. Literally what we were talking about. I knew there was going to be a big career change coming up here. It says, have the courage to change course, continue to grow, change, and learn. I feel for a majority of you, like I was saying, this is about where you put your heart in work or business. And I think that's like, again, and I think that's the biggest problem with get rich quick and stuff like that, is that it's like your heart isn't necessarily in it, right? Unless, again, if you're like, coming up with some sort of business to sell a product that you actually care about, then you're going to be super successful. If you're coming up with like an idea for a YouTube channel that you actually care about, then you're going to be successful. But if you don't care about it, then, it's probably not going to work. So that's what I'd say there. But I do see like a big change here we've been talking about this whole time in your career. You have the Emperor, the Justice card, and the Three of Swords. I do feel there's like a little worry or sadness about leaving a career business behind. But like I said, I feel like you're going to feel much better. For some of you, I do feel kind of a weird story here as well, that you have gone through a heartbreak, and it's almost like the heartbreak is the thing that is moving you closer to success. So it's like you could have experienced a heartbreak, and that could be the thing that is moving you towards like financial success and abundance or something like that. I don't know, kind of weird message, but it's popping into my head. You show up in a very strong position here, Justice. So you're showing up in a position of power and strength. I feel like there is a lot of success coming in for you. I would also invest in things and think that invest in you. I keep saying that for the rest of our lives, basically, justice is the answer to success, which hasn't always been true. Justice is cause and effect. When you put energy into something, what do you get out of it, right? And we need to pay attention to the direction that the scale is tipping. You are Libra. You are like the best at doing this. So I would just keep doing what you're doing. With the Emperor here, I also feel like this is your energy. I feel like you're bossing up in a big way here. Especially if you're moving towards your heart and towards things that you care about and that really fulfill you, then, I feel like there's a lot of happiness and success coming in those areas of your life. So let's see here. With the Emperor, you have the Five of Swords. Some of you could have left a Aries person, but I feel like you're moving towards something new. With the Justice card, you have the Three of Wands. Yeah, I mean, like everybody does get this message of needing to focus on expansion, whatever causes you to grow, whatever causes you to feel abundant and expansive and, happy and all that other stuff. And with the Three of Swords, you have the Knight of Cups, the missing knight from all of this. This is the knight that you want. And like I said, I told you that there was going to be a positive card on this Three of Swords. So here you go. I feel like you could be moving towards a knight in shining armor, someone who kind of heals your heart. Like I said, the fixed signs kind of pop into my head: Aquarius, Scorpio, a Taurus, or a Leo. So it really wouldn't surprise me if it was one of those signs. I also feel like the most important thing here is that you realize that, you're creating a turnaround in your life, I feel, and you could be a little bit worried about, making a career change, business change, work change, whatever, like, something financial. I would say even if you're retired, I keep getting comments from retired people, and I'm always like, hey, these readings still apply to you, but you just have to kind of think about how they're going to apply to you. But at the same time, just because you're retired doesn't mean that you can't be making money. It doesn't mean that you can't do something like work on a project that you've always wanted to work on. So, I would be thinking about those things. I'm going to answer one question with these three cards right here. So feel free to pause the reading, and I'm going to start reading. If you have a question, if you don't have a question, that's fine too. I'm going to put all three together at the end. But I'm going to read the cards right now. You have the Ten of Swords, Hermit, and the Five of Pentacles. I feel like some of you could have gone through something like a breakup or separation that put you in Hermit mode. And, I feel this is kind of encouraging you to, I do feel an energy of kind of needing to break out of it. I mean, this isn't a bad reading, but again, you do have some challenging cards: Three of Swords, Five of Swords twice, Ten of Swords, Seven of Swords. So, some of you could be still in the energy of a person who hurt you, and I really have no good advice other than take your time to heal with the Hermit card. It's probably just not going to last forever. Obviously, heartbreaks never last forever. I mean, how many past bozos do you think about now where you're like, what was I thinking? Right? I'm sure there's a bunch of them that you can think about where you're like, hey, what was I thinking when I dated that person? But at the time, it probably really hurt. Some of you, be kind to yourself, take time to heal. All these retrogrades, I think, is an amazing time to, take the end of the year to just heal, rest, relax, recover, and review and think about how you can create a turnaround in your life. I am a little bit surprised that like the Temperance card didn't show up here. Because it's like that's to me is an energy of like working with the turnaround, like kind of molding it into something that you want. But I feel like some of you could be working towards that as well. But pretty interesting here, Libra. So thank you for being here. By the way, I have Virgo popping into my head as well. So some of you could be dealing with Virgo, but whatever. So thank you for being here, Libra. I really appreciate it. Make sure to watch your Sun, Moon, and Rising for a full picture of what's going on for you at this time. But thank you, and definitely enjoy your week.